Thanks for joining us today at Leggari Products. We're super excited about this video and we hope you love it too. Enjoy.
Welcome back, everyone. We're going to be doing another wood grain technique sample board, and we're going to be doing silver, black, and white. Someone requested that in one of our other videos. They wanted to see those colors, so I'm going to do it. When you're doing samples, you really want to make sure before you start, your board's clean, obviously. I like to sand the edges down a little so they're rounded. It'll help cover the edges better. And also, the biggest thing is to make sure your board's level. No matter how cool of a board you do, if it's unlevel, that material is going to flow to wherever the lowest point is, and it can totally ruin the board. So really make sure you level it, it's clean, and then make sure you just have everything with you ready to go. That way you're not running around trying to get stuff. So I got my resin here. We're obviously not going to prime it. I got my colors, and we're going to be doing white spray paint for the white. I got my mixing stuff, some stir sticks. I'm going to be using a foam roller. That way we don't get any hair shedding from the roller. Whenever you're doing a coat like that or a top coat, flood coat of epoxy, always use a foam roller. Don't use a nap roller with the hairs. So what I'm gonna do is, like before, 30 ounces covers a 2 foot by 4 foot board perfectly. So I'm gonna fill up my part A to 20 ounces. And then we need to do half of that since it's 2 to 1. So that would be 10 ounces, making it 30 ounces. So we're gonna go to the 20 ounce mark. And it's a little cold in here, so this resin's a little bit thicker. See how I stopped before, because it's gonna level out. Looks like we're gonna be perfect. And then always have a rag, clean off your container. That way, if you just put the lid on it, that's gonna wind up dripping down. You're gonna go and grab that and not be happy. So there's our 20. And I just wanna double check. I'm just a tad bit over the 20 mark. So when I go to 30, I'll just go a little bit over the 30 mark. And this is the harder, so it's gonna be a lot more fluid. But again, since the resin's thick, I wanna go slow once I get close and kind of let it level off. See how it's gonna keep raising. Always take your time, make sure you mix this. You want it to be spot on. Let that level out for a sec. See how it's going a little higher? So yeah, perfect. We're a little bit higher than the 30 mark. And I'm gonna just mix this with a paint stick. You can obviously use, you know, a drill and a mixer. And then when we're doing small boards like this, I just mix up all the resin clear, and then I'll pour into these for my colors. That way I don't have to try to mix up small amounts for my highlights and my other colors. I can just mix the full batch. And we only recommend this when you're doing small projects. That way your highlights or whatever are not sitting in a container heating up. So I always want to scrape my sides. Scrape the bottom. And if you're mixing by hand, you want to mix for about 2 to 3 minutes. Scrape the sides, scrape the bottom, mix it again. And being thicker like it is, since we're in the warehouse, it's a lot thicker resin, so it's going to be a little harder to mix. It's always good to acclimate your resin to whatever room temp you're doing. Okay, that's probably good. So my base is gonna be silver. My highlights are gonna be black and white. So I really only need one. I'll add the silver into this. I'll pour a little out for the black. I got my rag to wipe the drips. We don't need a lot of black, so. It's always good to keep your area clean. If you get stuff on your gloves, just get some new gloves or wipe them off with some denatured alcohol and a rag. That way everything you touch doesn't get epoxy on it. So now I'll add my silver. And obviously using a drill is going to mix this in a lot faster. And then once you get all that powder in there, you can kind of start mixing it faster. Obviously, the better you can mix the metallics in, the less like clumps and stuff you'll get in the mix. And I always like to double check, let it drip off for a minute, then turn it flat. Make sure you can't see through the silver, so that means we got enough pigment in there. If it's kind of iridescent and you can see like the blue marks of the wood, then add a little more silver. Everything we send out is pre-measured. You have the perfect amount. So now I'm gonna do my black. And since I'm not making a lot of black, I probably don't need all of this. And we want to do the same thing with the black. Let it run off for a minute. Obviously a black's a lot easier to pigment and hide because it's a dark color, but we got plenty of pigment in there. So I'll get that off. Now what we're gonna do is just basically do a base coat of our silver on the whole board. Now again, I'm using the foam roller. I don't want to get roller hairs in this. And I'm basically gonna just apply pressure and use this as a squeegee. That way it's not really rolling, it's just pushing the product around. We're not priming because this is just a sample board. There's no need to prime. If you're a contractor and you're doing stuff to show customers, you can always prime it, but obviously you can see this hides really well. You can't see the wood, so really there's no point in wasting primer because they're never gonna see it. So now that everything's kind of coated, I'm just gonna apply the same pressure and work back and forth. And you can tell where my thick spots are. It's obviously pushing more product. And I'll cross roll this. It's obviously a little thicker there. As you see where I stopped here, there's no piles. We got piles over there. So I'm just gonna kind of run that back a little. And by applying pressure to my roller, so it's not just rolling, I can actually move the product really quickly. And the cool thing about this is it's such a great resin, and it self-levels so well that you don't have to be perfect. That's why we don't use, notch trowels and stuff like that, because it's really simple to roll out, and it self-levels so good that it's gonna level out by itself. Okay, so I'm happy with the top. Now I want to hit my edges. I always like to do my edges on sample boards. They always look better, and always make sure you clean this really good, because you don't want to get wood pieces from your edges in the top. So I roll a little on the top, get some on my roller, and I hit my edge. Then I like to swirl this just real quick. So I'll agitate the metallics. This is one of the easiest techniques. Everyone loves it. It's super simple to do, especially if you're doing a counter, art pieces, stuff like that, really easy. So I don't want my lines to be even everywhere. You can do that. We did a big conference table where we made all the lines kind of the same thickness all the way down, kind of like a sediment in the rock. But for this technique, it's better to do them random. So I'll just start. See how I got thicker, thinner spots. Some of them aren't even going all the way. And you can do any colors. We could do a lot more black if we wanted to. And I'll get some just right on the edge there. I like that. We maybe add a little bit right here just so we have a little more color there. That's the mistake some people make. They think they have to use all the resin. You don't. Especially in counter kits, we got quite a bit left here. There's no point in using it. I got enough color out there. And a lot of times when you're doing like say you're doing a white counter and you're adding coffee into it, the biggest mistake people make is they add too much coffee. And then when they go and swirl that and blend it, it just makes the whole counter coffee. So just be cautious of that when you're doing a light counter with dark highlights. So now we're just using any random spray paint. Works, doesn't matter the brand. You can do metallics, you can do just normal spray paint. We've even used like the hammered spray paint. This is just plain white. Shake it up good. And then I want to test to make sure it's white. Sometimes the wrong lids get put on it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some other veins of the white. And we're going to add quite a bit of white into this one. So So I'm not trying to cover up the black, I'm just going in between. But again, I don't want to cover up all the silver either. We're gonna take the pool trowel. I like the pool trowel because it's rounded. It gives you a lot more different thicknesses as we're moving it. And I'll just act like this is a counter. I'll work from the back edge out, you know, because you're gonna be leaning over a counter. You can't walk around on a counter. So we're just gonna go back and forth. And I like to go off all the way off. And it doesn't matter if you see the board, it's gonna level back out. So what I'm doing is, I'll do a skinny line. See how skinny that is? That's a skinny line. And then in between, I'll kind of do a fat one. So they're all random. So they're not all skinny and wide. Plus it takes a lot less time when you're doing a wide pass here and there. That's a really, really good choice of colors here. And it's cool, you don't have to go, you know, straight lines. You could do a cool vein pattern and keep pouring it out and follow that vein pattern, and then you can run the trowel along that so you can have some jaggedy, you know, veins that aren't perfectly straight. There's a lot of options with this technique. So now once I did that, and it's cool because if say I wanted to add some more black here, I could pour out, say we want to add a little black right here, I can just take my black, add a little black, and then I can blend that in. And you'll never be able to tell that I added black after the fact. And then I like to check my edges, like right here, kind of get that to run off. Maybe that white a little more. And then this just looks like I'm gonna blend that a little better. See the cool effects we're getting using spray paints, and that's not spraying anything. We could disperse this if we wanted to. We could leave it. We could add a dispersing color to it. There's a lot of options. It goes the same with the white. I could add more white, and if I had some silver left and I wanted more silver in it, I could add the silver too. But yeah, I like it. I'll blend this black in just a little more. And then this one too, kind of missed that. But see how it lays out glass smooth, and even though we see wood, that levels out. And you'll see, you know, some bubbles here randomly just popping on their own. That's an additive that's in the mix that makes the bubbles rise and pop while it's setting up. And as long as you don't overwork the material, those bubbles will pop. The only reason you'll have bubbles is if you overwork the material, it starts getting sticky and setting up, and it doesn't allow those bubbles to break the epoxy surface. So we'll just leave this, let it do its thing, because we got some really cool effects in here. You know, we already got cells from some spray paints and stuff. But yeah, guys, this is a wood grain technique, pretty simple.
Hey Leggari friends, thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, watch our latest videos, and hey, if you have any ideas for future projects, drop them in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time.